So greetings, audience. This is Abhilash. I'm the founder of Guruskoolz. ये हमारा series of talks है with our wonderful leaders who are part of our ecosystem in Guruskoolz. तो हम ये चर्चा करते हैं, ये विचार विमर्श करते हैं हमारे पावरफुल लीडर्स के साथ. बहुत कुछ सीखने को मिलता है उनसे. And in this digital Baatcheet, we'll be discussing with one of the very powerful leaders in our ecosystem who joins us from Australia and has been doing a wonderful work in the field of NLP, hypnosis, timeline therapy. She's also a Reiki practitioner and is always wonderful interacting with her. And she has done a wonderful work with us in India as well, joining from Australia live. So she's Ankita Mahajan, founder of IINH Australia. She has her own institute there. And she specializes in NLP, hypnosis, timeline therapy, and Reiki. She's also Reiki Grandmaster as well. So joining us, Ankita. So I'm really happy to host you today in today's session of Digital Baatcheet, Ankita. सबसे पहले welcome, Ankita, to Guruskoolz.
Thank you so much.
सबसे पहले तो मैं आपसे पूछना चाहूंगा पहला सवाल, because many people are not, many people have heard about NLP, but कुछ चीजें हैं, कुछ भ्रांतियां हैं जो उनको in detail नहीं पता NLP के बारे में. So can you explain what NLP, Neuro Linguistic Programming, is and how it can benefit individuals in various aspects of their lives? तो थोड़ा सा हम इस डिस्कशन को रखेंगे ताकि और अवेयरनेस स्प्रेड हो हम सबके लिए.
Absolutely. I think मेरा बहुत बड़ा मिशन है कि मैं NLP और टाइमलाइन थेरेपी और हिप्नोसिस को नॉर्मलाइज करूं लोगों में और वो जानकारी आगे उनको बढ़ाऊं. So it's very very important for me. So thank you for giving me this opportunity as well. NLP की जहां तक हम बात करते हैं, so NLP for me, NLP के बहुत सारे मतलब है. For me though, NLP is a compilation of applied wisdom. Right? Applied wisdom and techniques that works with the concept of number one, our thinking, that is neuro, right? Number two, the language that we use, that is linguistic. And number three, the learning behavior, because every behavior is a learned behavior, right? Every behavior is a learned behavior. So that is programming. So neuro-linguistic programming, इन तीनों को अपने दिमाग में रखते हुए क्या अप्लाइड विजडम और क्या टेक्निक्स मैं इस्तेमाल कर सकती हूँ, दैट इज NLP. इन तीनों चीजों में, थिंकिंग, लैंग्वेज और लर्न्ड बिहेवियर में, हाउ कैन आई ब्रिंग अबाउट अ चेंज, दैट इज NLP. So that was the answer of your first question. The NLP in general though, if you ask me, is the art and science of success. It's the art and science of success. Now, why do I say this? Is because there are three major key areas of our lives, right, in which we want to succeed, right? Number one is our relationship, right? Relationship with our children, with our partners, with our friends, with our family. That's number one, right? Relationship with ourselves as well. We talk about self-love quite a lot, right? Relationship with ourselves. So that's a relationship. The second most important thing in our life is our work, our businesses, our jobs, the career that we have, money that we have, right? All of those things. And the third key area is our own personal development, our spiritual connections, our real religious aspect, our thought process, our mindset. So ये तीन key areas होते हैं आपकी लाइफ में जिन पे आप फोकस करना चाहते हो. NLP is the art and science of success in all of these three areas.
Wonderful, wonderfully explained, Ankita. मेरा second सवाल होगा आपका. Can you share your journey of becoming an NLP master trainer? I believe you have been to America to learn this beautiful art. So what inspired you to pursue this part? यानी कि आपने कुछ any challenges you faced, because you also have mother, you also have wife, and obviously entrepreneur handling a lot of responsibilities.
Absolutely. This wasn't easy, Abhilash, by any means. And जब कोई मेरे से पूछता है कि हम क्या करें लाइफ में, I said, if you want to become something, you have to give everything that you have and more. So this is a story of me giving everything I had and more, right? जो था मेरे पास वो तो दिया, पर और बहुत कुछ मुझे इस पूरे प्रोसेस के अंदर लगाना पड़ा all my energy was into it. The story goes way back to 2019, where I realized that my emotions were really taking control of me. और मेरा एंगर बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ गया था, बहुत ही ज्यादा. मुझे बात बात पे गुस्सा आता था, बच्चों पे मैं चिल्ला देती थी, हस्बैंड से लड़ाई कर रही थी. एंड ऑब्वियसली अगर आपके रिलेशनशिप्स में कुछ अनबन रहती है तो वो आप अपना काम पे भी आप ध्यान नहीं दे पाते हो. सो इन माय जॉब ऑल्सो आई वाज जस्ट गोइंग एंड डूइंग द वर्क, बट आई वाजंट हैप्पी. एंड वन डे व्हाट हैपेंड वाज माय मदर वाज हियर. हम लोग ऑस्ट्रेलिया में रहते हैं, मैं, मेरे बच्चे और मेरा हस्बैंड, और मेरी मदर आई हुई थी. और मैं बहुत जोर से अपने बच्चों पे चिल्लाई क्योंकि वो खेल रहे थे और वो आवाज भी मुझे इरिटेट कर रही थी. As I screamed and I said, "Can you guys just please be quiet?" My mother came running from inside and she said to me, "Ankita, why are you screaming on them? Why are you yelling? They're just playing." And I just turned back and I said to her, I said, "Who are you to say that to me? क्योंकि आपने पूरी जिंदगी मेरे पे चिल्लाया." That moment, something just completely changed in me, and I was like, मुझे पता है कि मुझे कुछ चीजें अपनी मदर जैसे, अपने फादर जैसे नहीं करनी है, लेकिन मैं वही चीजें बार 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 करती हूँ. सो आई न्यू एज अ मदर, मुझे पता था कि मुझे अपने बच्चों पे नहीं चिल्लाना, राइट? मुझे पता था, लेकिन मैं उस चीज को कंट्रोल नहीं कर पा रही थी. आज की डेट में हम सबको पता है कि हमें क्या नहीं करना है, पर हम सब वो चीजें करते हैं. जब NLP for 2019, when this episode happened, I started to look for reasons as to why I'm repeating the same patterns. That time around, intergenerational trauma came in front of me. I started doing research in intergenerational trauma, and then I started to look for ways to release those holding emotions in my body and looking for a integration of my conscious and unconscious mind, because some behaviors were my unconscious behaviors. I wasn't doing them on purpose. So वो integration को ढूंढते ढूंढते मैं NLP पे पहुंची 2020 में. 2020 में फिर मैंने NLP किया, NLP प्रैक्टिशनर. NLP प्रैक्टिशनर से जो टूल्स और टेक्निक और जो बेस मुझे मिला, that changed my life completely changed. I learned and understood how my mind works. I learned and understood what language can I use to influence my thoughts, my self-talk, and what language can I use to influence my children, my partner, and get them into conjunction with me, to work with me, not against me. Right? And then I started changing and looking at my own behavioral patterns, and I had the tools and techniques to change them at will. At my own will. So that was very powerful. Then 2021, I decided to do my NLP Masters. NLP Masters jab maine kiya, I got more into depth about how my language further works. How do people think? What is the ways of thinking? What are different personalities that people have, right? What are the ways that I can look at people and decide what language patterns do I need to use? Right? So I started to look into that. And then I learned even more deeper concepts of intervention in programming, in NLP and timeline therapy. That gave me so much more in my toolbox, in my toolkits and techniques. Let's backtrack a bit. When I found in 2020, I found NLP. After that, I realized I had the tools. So I had become a parenting coach by then. I had completely eradicated my anger. I started to help other people with their anger issues. So as I came into this journey, I had more tools to help other people and myself with masters. And then I had this urge of taking this to next level and helping people to coach themselves better. Right? We have to understand that everybody is a coach. We are a coach to our children. We are a coach to our partner. We are coach to our, friends and family. We always listen to them. We always have that lending ear. What if you could help them the way they want? Right? So that aspect came to me, and I wanted ki, एक छोटा सा सपना है मेरा कि, every person should learn NLP, because this is like how to live your life is basically that guidebook of NLP. So that's my journey of becoming a trainer. And then last year I completed my traineeship with the American Board of NLP, and I got the affiliation from them. And this is how my journey has been. It's really a dream to get NLP into every household.
Fantastic, Ankita. So I can see कि आपका जो personal experience है या your relationships issues आप face कर रहे थे, that inspired you to take the next step. So मेरा अगला सवाल आता है आपको कि can you give me some examples how NLP techniques and principles can be utilized to enhance communication and build better relationships, because in the Indian mindset context हमारा बहुत सारा जद्दोजहद होती है कि कम्युनिकेशन कैसे बेहतर कर सकें टू गेट मोर सक्सेस एंड रिलेशनशिप्स और कैसे हम लोग डेवलप कर सकें.
एब्सोल्युटली. सो देखिए, मैं जब मैं ये क्वेश्चन का आंसर करूंगी तो फिर भी मैं वो 3 एस्पेक्ट्स में करूंगी, है ना. एवरी सिंगल टाइम दैट वी आर डूइंग समथिंग to somebody or we are saying something to somebody, the only thing which we are utilizing is our communication, our language. हर एक वक्त अगर मुझसे अपने आप से भी कोई आइडिया शेयर करना है, राइट, सो वो भी एक कम्युनिकेशन पैटर्न के थ्रू होता है. अगर मुझे आपको कोई आइडिया देना है तो वो भी एक कम्युनिकेशन के थ्रू होगा. मुझे अपने हस्बैंड को कोई आइडिया देना है कि वो ये करें या वो करें, वो भी एक कम्युनिकेशन के थ्रू होगा. मुझे बच्चों से कुछ बोलना है, वो भी कम्युनिकेशन. सो कम्युनिकेशन इज प्राइम in every relationship, in your business, and even your conversations with yourself, which in NLP we call the self-talk, auditory digital, right? So अगर हम एक पहला एस्पेक्ट समझें, right, कि अगर किसी से मुझे कम्युनिकेट करना है, right, तो फर्स्ट चीज which is very very important is what? Is to have a rapport with that person. People who are like you, they like you, right? So the first and the most important thing is rapport building, which it taught me. Now rapport building के अंदर और उससे पहले बहुत एक मेजर कॉन्सेप्ट है NLP का, which is called NLP presuppositions. जिस तरह मैं उसको समझाती हूँ वो बेसिकली ये है कि NLP presuppositions are something that you presuppose, you pre-assume in life, and those are right now my chosen beliefs. बहुत सारे beliefs मेरे को दुनिया ने दिए हैं अलग अलग चीजों के बारे में, बट NLP presuppositions are my chosen beliefs. So वो beliefs को अपने हाथों में रख के सबसे पहला काम जो मैं अगर टेक्निक्स के बारे में अगर आपसे डिस्कस करूं, प्रिंसिपल्स के बारे में, तो फर्स्ट चीज इज rapport building. That is really really important. If you do not have the right rapport with somebody, you cannot communicate your message effectively, period. राइट. सो NLP के अंदर हम काफी rapport building skills सिखाते हैं और समझाते हैं, जिसमें ऑब्वियसली इंटरपर्सनल रिलेशनशिप्स और बिजनेस सेटिंग दोनों में आप इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं. सेकेंड कंपोनेंट which I spoke to you about is after you build up the rapport is the effective communication. राइट, वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. और NLP में ऐसे बहुत टूल्स हैं, just giving you like a small example of communication to even understand that if a person is a high level thinker or is a person specific thinker. जैसे छोटी छोटी चीजें हम we drill down in our practitioners, so even when they are having a conversation they can understand how does the other person wants to be communicated in. NLP में हम ये कहते हैं the outcome that you have received, जो आपको आउटकम मिला है उसके बेसिस पे आप अपनी कम्युनिकेशन को मापें. अगर वो आउटकम आपको नहीं मिला है तो इसका मतलब आप कम्युनिकेशन ठीक से नहीं कर रहे हैं. सो वी काइंड ऑफ मैप दैट एवरीथिंग टुगेदर एंड वी एक्सप्लेन हाउ डिफरेंट पर्सनालिटीज वर्क and how do we communicate to that personality. So communication definitely is one of the techniques that we use. बहुत important है अपने आप को एंकर करके रखना कुछ सर्टेन स्टेट्स में, अपने इमोशंस को अपने कंट्रोल में रखना, नॉट कि इमोशंस आर कंट्रोलिंग यू. उसके लिए हम एक टेक्निक का इस्तेमाल करते हैं जिसका नाम है एंकरिंग, एंड वी एंकर सर्टेन टेक्निक्स इन योर बॉडी which you can utilize when you want, not when the emotions are taking over you, but when you want. So that's extremely important. बहुत सारी टेक्निक्स है. I can share a lot जो मैं अपने रिलेशनशिप में इस्तेमाल करती हूँ. So अपना स्टेट, so doesn't matter what is happening, what my children are telling me, what my clients are telling me, I maintain state because I have anchors, right? Anchors माने एक जगह पे मेरा stability है. So managing my own emotions was very very important for me. और ज्यादातर time, right, जब आप एक relationship में deal कर रहे होते हैं, like I said, everything is a relationship and everything is communication, है ना? सबसे ज्यादा important चीज क्या है? अपने beliefs को समझना और अपने लिमिटिंग बिलीव्स को समझना और उनको ओवरकम करना. ये सिर्फ मैंने अपने लिए नहीं किया, ये मैं अपने बच्चों के लिए भी कर पाई, which was a very big success. When I started this journey, my son was 10 years old. Now he is 15 years old. And I can tell you that the confidence that it has built up over a period of time, it's impeccable. I have been able to change the state for my husband because I know कि कभी-कभी काम की वजह से, it used to be too tensed. But just because I was anchored and I was not flowing in his tension with him and I was not getting triggered, I could maintain my state and that helped him as well. So overcoming beliefs for myself, for my family, for my clients, and people around me. Then outcome-oriented thinking also is a very important technique. Just not thinking randomly, but outcome-oriented. So these are just a few techniques, modeling excellence, flexibility in communication. काफी सारी techniques हैं जो हम I can go on and on. There are 23 techniques, Abhilash, in NLP, so I can go on and on. But the ideology is it impacts your thinking, your language, and then the behavior that comes out of it.
Fantastic. So that means you can also influence communication on others and kids also. So that was really amazing.
Yes, very helpful.
Fantastic. तो सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट सवाल अंकिता जो बहुत सारे लीडर्स हमसे पूछ रहे थे, आस्क अंकिता. सो मेनी पीपल आल्सो स्ट्रगल विद फाइनेंशियल माइंडसेट एंड अबंडेंस ब्लॉक्स. सो हाउ कैन एनएलपी हेल्प ओवरकम दिस चैलेंजेस एंड डेवलप ए वेल्थ ओरिएंटेड माइंडसेट? बिकॉज़ बहुत सारी इनसिक्योरिटीज होती हैं अक्सर हम एंटरप्रेन्योर्स में. हाउ कैन ओवरकम दैट एंड हाउ टू अचीव अबंडेंस? सो एनएलपी विल हेल्प दैट एज वेल.
Oh, absolutely, and it helps big time. So समझिए कि एक बहुत बड़ा पार्ट है एनएलपी का अपने बिलीफ सिस्टम्स पे काम करना. जब आपने कहा एक अबंडेंस ब्लॉक और एक फाइनेंशियल माइंडसेट, राइट, इसका एक एग्जांपल मैं आपको देती हूँ, राइट. अगर आपको पता है, राइट, कि द मोस्ट यू कैन गो इज दैट सीलिंग, इससे ऊपर आप जा ही नहीं सकते हो, तो क्या होता है, आप वहां पहुंचते हो और आप वापस आ जाते हो, फिर आप वापस ट्राई करते हो, आप वहां पहुंचते हो, आप वापस आ जाते हो, फिर आप वापस ट्राई करते हो, एंड दैट्स द ब्लॉक दैट वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट. Now, in our world, in NLP world, we say you cannot solve the problem, right, in the same box that you created the problem in, है ना? उसी बॉक्स में हम प्रॉब्लम नहीं सॉल्व कर सकते जिस बॉक्स ने वो प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट करी, राइट. सो हम यूज करते हैं इंडक्टिव कोचिंग मेथड्स, जिसमें आप अपने बिलीव्स को आइडेंटिफाई करते हैं, राइट, और उसके बाद इंडक्टिव कोचिंग के थ्रू और लैंग्वेज पैटर्न्स के थ्रू उस बॉक्स से बाहर निकालते हैं. सो वी थिंक ऑफ इट लाइक बर्स्टिंग आउट. सो व्हाट हैपेंस इज दैट योर सीलिंग व्हिच वाज देयर, that block that we are talking about, is no longer there. So you can grow as much as you can think, right? So वो ब्लॉक हम तोड़ देते हैं. तो सबसे पहला और बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज इसके अंदर है कि अपने बिलीफ सिस्टम्स को समझना, कहाँ से आए, क्या हुआ. इसका एग्जांपल मैं फाउंडेशन वर्कशॉप में जरूर देती हूँ क्योंकि ये बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है. एंड हाउ वी क्रिएट आवर ओन अबंडेंस ब्लॉक्स because of our belief system, our limiting belief system. 110% we change that. We actually have specific techniques, Abhilash, जो belief systems को change करती हैं unconscious level पे. आपके limiting decisions को remove करती है unconscious level पे. आपके सोचने का तरीका एक दिन नहीं, 10 मिनट में, actually एक दिन तो बहुत बड़ी बात है, 10 मिनट में shift हो जाता है, right? So that's about the limiting beliefs. The other thing which NLP does is it opens up your visualization and mental rehearsals, because आप अपने life के सारे quadrants, जो most important senses हैं, हम उनको खोलते हैं. हम किस तरह चीजें इंटरप्रेट करते हैं is through our 5 senses, right? But most of the time वो 5 senses का हम इस्तेमाल नहीं करते हैं, इसलिए हमारे visualizations powerful नहीं होते हैं. So we teach people how to utilize those senses in your visualizations so they become extremely strong and you are able to attract exactly what you want, right? The third aspect of the abundance block is language and the self-talk. हम अपने आप से क्या बोलते हैं, उस पे हम बहुत काम करते हैं, right? And the fourth aspect which I want to look at is after we have done the work, right? हमने limiting beliefs अपने remove कर दिए, right? हमने self talk अपना improve कर दिया, right? हमने एक visualization create कर लिया, लेकिन उसके लिए आपको एक फ्यूचर में एंकर भी क्रिएट करना पड़ता है कि कहाँ आप जा रहे हो, तो वो भी हम क्रिएट करते हैं। टाइमलाइन थेरेपी में एक्चुअली एक बहुत ही बड़ी टेक्निक है। सो एनएलपी और टाइमलाइन थेरेपी मेरे दो मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट सब्जेक्ट्स हैं। हिप्नोसिस ऑफ कोर्स वी टीच एज वेल, बट आई ऑलवेज टीच एनएलपी एंड टाइमलाइन टुगेदर। And take timeline therapy as a subset of NLP as an intervention. It's a whole intervention in itself, timeline therapy. And timeline therapy actually has a technique which can take you to your future and set the goals the way you want. So 110% हम abundance mindset पे बहुत काम करते हैं, and we remove those limiting blocks that is not really serving you.
All right, that's amazing. Amazing to hear, especially timeline therapy, where you're talking about traveling in time. But I think so. That's exactly what you're meaning, right? So
Yes,
installing powerful beliefs in yourself. Right?
absolutely, absolutely.
Amazing, amazing. So एक और प्रश्न है मेरा अंकिता कि NLP involves understanding and utilizing the power of language. So कुछ effective ways आप बता सकते हैं कि we can use certain language to influence and persuade others, because we do so. For me, I'm being a trainer, or for others as well, we need to persuade others and
Absolutely.
So how can you help with that part, NLP?
Absolutely. So as you know, our middle name is linguistic, right? So language, of course, we use. The power of language is everything for us, because like I said, communication is the most important aspect. So अगर मेरे को आपको कुछ टेक्निक्स आज देने हैं जो आप यूटिलाइज कर सकते हैं, so is number one technique which I will share and I absolutely love is reframing, right? Entrepreneurs can then use to reframe their ideas, their products and services in a way that suit the other person's thought process, right? And that in itself is inductive. We just move it out, right? And that is the first thing. So we teach two different types of reframing. One is content and one is context, right? Sometimes we reframe the content, sometimes we reframe the context of the situation. So that's one of the things that we utilize as far as power of language is concerned. And that in itself is a coaching concept, right? You can really shift through things, and you can sell. When you can reframe as an entrepreneur, you can sell. And not just as an entrepreneur. See, everyone is selling, not just entrepreneurs. Like you said, as a father, right? I want to talk to my children in the way that they understand. Why do you want to do that? Is because you are selling an idea to your children, right? So reframing is a very, very big tool that we use. The second tool that is really, really important, just from the context of human psychology, and the one which has the most profound impact is metaphors. क्योंकि जब आप metaphors में बात करते हैं, right? It is not a direct judgment on the person. The minute you start talking to a person about what their problem is, right? They start to feel defensive. And because they start to create this layer around them of defensiveness and judgment, they don't want to listen to you. But if you're talking to them about somebody else, right, who has the same problem as you, right, they are more likely to listen and utilize that knowledge unconsciously. So in NLP, in practitioner, we work on metaphors, but in master practitioner, we work a lot on metaphors and study metaphors in depth, but we do touch metaphors in practitioner as well. Similarly, in interpersonal relationships. So I remember a time, and I'm just giving a small example from my life. If I've done something wrong, right, and my husband would come and say to me, Ankita, you've done this wrong, I'll be like, no, not me. I haven't done this. But say, for example, if he was to come to me and say, You know what? I think, oh, you know what? I actually have a friend whose wife was doing this. I'll be like, that's so wrong. That's not fair. He said, yeah, correct. And after 3-4 days, it'll click me. He wouldn't say my name, but it'll click me in my head. This is, oh, actually, I was doing something similar. I shouldn't do it. And that is an unconscious change. It is not a conscious change. So you bring about unconscious change through metaphors. And it's beautiful in interpersonal relationship, because then me and my husband's relationship stays intact. There is no fight. And similarly with my kids, I don't point fingers out at them. You did do. No. I do this so much with my clients. After finishing the session, they'll call me after 2 days and they say, oh, now I know what you were saying. Because if I was to give them the solution directly, they wouldn't take it. But through a metaphor, it stays longer. By the way, all the movies, stories that we see, they are what? They are metaphors. Or all the advertisements that we see are what? Are metaphors. Right? So metaphors are great in communication. So these are just two techniques which I have so many language techniques that I can share all my life. I think one of the most important ones, if I was to share, is asking powerful questions, but asking powerful questions in a way that the other person moves and shifts their thought perspective. And so do we, right? So we do a lot of work on questions and how to utilize the language patterns in there. But I can go on and on about this, Abhijit, but these are the top 3 that I would give you today for
Amazing.
language.
Amazing, Ankita. So that was a very different perspective, how to shift the questions in a right way and to see in that perspective. So really amazing to learn that particular aspect from you. Really, thank you very much for that. All right. So going to the next question, Ankita, ये बहुत important है, बहुत सारे लोगों को unconsciously habits हो जाते हैं, addictions हो जाते हैं, right? So any particular NLP strategies that can help people to overcome addictions or any habits which they acquire, does NLP help with that part?
Oh, absolutely. So we have specific techniques for unhealthy habits or unwanted habits, as we say. And some minor negative states. If I was to give you a technique, it's called swish. Of course, if I say it, it sounds like what is it, but it's exactly for unhealthy habits. It's called swish. And we can utilize these habits to change anything. There's also a technique which is called like to dislike. Like to dislike. So you like something, but then we make it dislike. So it is an conscious and unconscious integration that we do. In 10 minutes, you will leave that habit. So say, for example, someone comes to you and says to you, I bite my nails a lot. 10 minutes, gone. Say someone comes to you, I have addiction of Coke and I drink Coke quite a lot. And I'm ready to give up because it's affecting my health. 10 minutes, gone. Can't touch Coke back again. That technique is called like to dislike and swish. Depending upon which person are we working with, we'll choose the technique. But it's all about identifying the habit, the unwanted habit. Sometimes what people come to us is not the actual habit. We just have to identify and help them identify the actual problem. And then we identify the trigger, what the trigger is. And that is the most important thing to identify. And we go through a whole process to identify the trigger. When is that moment that they want to put their hands in their mouth? What's that trigger, right? And also then we help them, through swish patterns and through like to dislike, it's called submodalities that we use, how to remove that unwanted habit, that unwanted behavior that you have completely and fully, and it just takes 10 to 15 minutes to do it. So it's extremely powerful. Yes, so we do have those techniques.
So amazing. And a habit of 15 years, you would say NLP can eliminate 15 minutes, right?
Absolutely. And states like minor negative states as well, like I said. So some minor negative states like, something like an anxiety, something like an overwhelm, something like a feeling of stress, that also you can remove through techniques like anchoring. So unwanted habits and lower grade negative emotions or impacts that we have. So both of them.
So deep rooted emotions or depression, यानी कि बहुत सालों की depression है, तो that also can eliminate it, right, Ankita?
Yes. So let me just explain this to you because this is important for your audience to understand. There's something which is called minor negative states, and there is something which is called major negative states. Everything else is subsets of these two. Okay. So major negative states are only 5: anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt. We take care of all of them in timeline therapy. Right? So timeline therapy is about releasing your anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt. Now, if this was the major negative, minor negative are under this. So they are all subset of major negative. So something like an anxiety is a subset of fear, right? Something like a stress or a depression is subset of being sad or being hurt, right? So the minute you work on timeline therapy intervention and you release all the top layer, the layer at the bottom completely dissolves itself, right? But if we are working with, say, anxiety, timeline therapy has techniques that can completely remove anxiety literally in less than 20 minutes, right? So timeline therapy works with the NLP technique. So we combine both of them. We use NLP, right? We use the language. We use the understanding of the thinking, and then we use the intervention. In the programming part, we use timeline therapy to help our clients with the unwanted habits, major negative emotion, and minor negative emotions.
Fantastic. So, some such success stories, Ankita, I can share of individuals who have been got significant results through application of NLP principles, techniques. Can you share some of them for the audience?
I can share many because I have many, right? But I think there are two which I want to share. One I want to share in personal relationships, and the other one which I want to share is about the business context. So one of my clients, and I've been working with them for almost one year now. So we did the NLP practitioner, they've done NLP master practitioner, and what they have done is they've picked up the concepts of practitioner and the master practitioner. They've utilized those concepts and built up a corporate course, a mindset course, which they use and sell in corporates for the staff's mindset. So it's the same course that we do in NLP, and I've actually helped them build up that course as well, utilizing the tools and techniques, putting some activities in between just to help the mind. They've created one-day workshop which we do with the corporate sector. Now, this wasn't just possible just like that. NLP and the practitioner and the master practitioner actually helped him to release his own limiting belief, his own anxiety. So we're talking about a person who's become a speaker in corporate. But when they started with me, they were so anxious that they could not even speak the way we are doing. So I always say that it's easier for you and me because we speak, right? Because we are speakers, we're trainers, and we know ourselves of that. But this person, I've seen a journey from being a completely anxious person, extremely anxious. When they came to me, they were anxious because of their previous and past experiences. They did practitioner, so timeline therapy was a part of that. They released their anxiety, and by the time we were in master practitioner, he'd already built up a course. We moved from master practitioner, and I see him going to corporates and speaking now. So for me, that's a very, very big win, because for a person who didn't open up his mouth, never asked me questions in any trainings, was sitting at the back of the room, quiet, through timeline therapy, changed completely because we removed all those major 5. So anxiety kind of just dissolved. And when he came back to master practitioner, completely different person. Now does corporate trainings, right? The other example, which is very, very dear to me, is I started to work with a client. And that's a one-on-one client of me. So this client, which I discussed before, the business coach whom I'm working with now. So he is a person who came through practitioner, then master practitioner, and then became a business coach. And then the other person who I worked with, she was my client, and the story is really, really dear to me, because she came to me and she said, Ankita, I work in an office and I get too overwhelmed and I'm really stressed. So she came to me for stress, overwhelm. And as I was doing, so we always start with NLP, we give them NLP concepts, we do a little bit of NLP interventions, and then we go into timeline therapy in my 8-week process, which I discuss very dearly with all my clients as well. Took her through that process. week one, when we were doing the intervention in anger, releasing her anger out of her body, she went all the way back to her mother's womb. And she realized that she was hearing unconsciously, like she was a little baby in the womb, but she was hearing everybody around her say that, अब तो इस बार लड़की, दो बहनें थी पहले, वो तीसरी बच्ची थी, तो अब इस बार लड़की हो गई तो शायद उसको मारना पड़ेगा, है ना, और लड़कियां घर में नहीं आ सकती, all those kind of things. And she was inside the womb, right? And she was hearing all of that. So her anger was coming from that. She was very angry and she said, मेरे परिवार वाले बहुत अच्छे हैं, मेरा husband is really nice. I don't know why I feel so angry inside. It was related to that. So we released that anger out of her body. And then when she came out of the intervention, she was crying. And she said to me, Ankita, ये इंटरवेंशन के बाद मुझे पता लगा, मैंने आपको बताया नहीं है, लेकिन मेरे 5 मिसकैरेजेस हुए हैं. I've had 5 miscarriages. And we were like, whoa, right? And I said, were they all girls? And she said, yes, they were all girls. Her body was not ready to hold a baby girl child because of that anger that was installed in her body. So releasing that, after 3 sessions, after we continued to work, and after 3 sessions, she became pregnant. So after 3 weeks, she gave me the best news that I have. And last week, she has delivered her baby girl. So that is a very, very big, a shift for me. Seeing my clients, this is like a 9-month journey with a client of mine, and it is absolutely beautiful to see what are the possibilities. I share just to show you the possibilities that are possible with TLT, because you will come to me, right? And you will think Ankita will give us what we want. NLP and timeline therapy will give us what we want, but it will give you what you need, what you actually need. So very, very powerful techniques and interventions. Integrates your unconscious and the conscious completely and gives you the clarity that you need in your life. Very powerful, Abhilash.
That's amazing, Ankita. That's amazing. It's unbelievable that a girl experienced that when she was a child, in mother's womb, and वहाँ से वो deep rooted जो anguish है वो it manifested into a lot of relationship issues, yeah, physical manifestations in a wrong way, and how NLP helped it. So it's really amazing to that NLP helps in a real removing all these fears, deep-rooted anxieties, blockages, and installing positive emotions, and you can say, reprogramming your subconscious mind, right? If I'm not wrong, if I can rephrase it.
It's absolutely that. I want to add here, right? What probably I haven't spoken about till now is the health benefits of releasing these negative emotions out of your body and having clarity and removing those limiting decisions is massive. I am a prime example of that, right? We teach in our master practitioner, we teach a separate course in the NLP masters and timeline therapy masters. It's called meta medicine. And it is extremely important to understand how all your emotions, the unresolved emotions that you have in your body, convert into something which we call dis-ease. So anything that doesn't give you ease causes a disease. The minute we remove these, right, your body eases and it's ready to fight back any disease. I have worked with people who have cancer. I have worked with people who have fibromyalgia. I've worked with people who have lupus. I'm talking about autoimmune diseases right now. Of course, I've worked with multiple people who have headaches and who have backaches. And by the way, in NLP master practitioner, we have a technique called pain paradigm, which completely releases any chronic pain. And I can bet you on that. Any chronic pain you give me and we'll release it. Right? So extremely, we're talking about all areas, like I said, of our lives. So us, in terms of our health and our mental strength, and our mindset, our relationships with our people we love the most, right? People we care for, like our partners, our friends, our children, right? Our family, our parents. And then also work, career, money, business, everything. For me, I live the NLP way. That's the way I live. So I'm very passionate about it, Abhilash.
That's great, Ankita. Great learnings from you, Ankita. And it's amazing how NLP is transforming, world over, and people need this tool in this age very much because we have बहुत सारे negativities हैं, बहुत सारे insecurities हैं आज के दौर में. And it's very important that NLP, because I've experienced NLP very closely. I'm just a practitioner, but I've experienced NLP very closely in my own healings, so I can really vouch for that. But I know it's so deep, right? So thank you very much, Ankita, about beautiful learnings from you. It's always, a lot of learnings and has been a great conversation with you. Lastly, मैं आपको सवाल पूछना चाहूंगा, अंकिता, कि आपका एक्सपीरियंस कैसा रहा गुरुस्कूल्स के साथ? Because we are really privileged to have you on board. So how has been your experience with Guruskoolz so far?
Absolutely, Abhilash. So, Abhilash, I'll start with what my mission was and how I kind of found you guys, because my mission, I'm sitting in Australia, right? I serve a lot of Indian community here as well. And I serve a lot of Indian community majorly in America and Canada as well. Some of my clients are in UK as well. And one day I was just thinking, I'm doing so much work for Indians out of India. And how do I reach people in India so we can bring about that change? For me, no other company, and I've researched on this, I've looked at the trainers on board, there's no other company which teaches timeline therapy, right? So a lot of people teach NLP, but I always teach NLP and timeline therapy together because I know of its impacts very, very deeply. I've experienced it in my life, completely erased my anger for my, that whole anger which I had. And it was coming from intergenerational trauma. Something which I did not want came into me from my mother, my father, and their grandparents, like our grandparents, which I have no control over, no idea. So I was running a life which was built by somebody else, but I was not taking charge of my own life. And I've said this is so important for people in India, my people in India, to learn, to go through, to release, and then bring about this change in the world. So my mission was really, really big, right? Because I care about children. Like I said, I was a parenting coach, and I really care about children. My children are going into the world, right? And going to be meeting your children, our friends' children, and people all over the world, their children who are similar age, like you and I are similar age. So we've kind of met somewhere, right? So they are going to meet your children or children of other people I help with right now. And if I don't take responsibility right now, and I put my children into a world which I haven't helped and supported, it's no good. When I have the tools and I have the techniques. So that was my bigger mission. So I was sitting and I was really frustrated because I was in Australia, and how do you reach to your Indian audience? What do you do? So I started looking for a lot of NLP training places, or places who let other people train under their brand. And after speaking to many, I'll be very honest with you, I found people to be very money minded, people to be not, being supportive in your mission, not thinking of, where you are coming from, right? And I found that I was not aligning with anybody. And then I happened to speak to Abhilash, and I had a meeting set up with Abhilash when I explained, all what I wanted, and what was my big vision. So this was my big vision. I remember explaining Abhilash that mujhe, India mein ye change leke aana hai. And Abhilash was, not only just understood, but helped me bring about that change. We have done, I think, I don't know how many, Abhilash, 4 sessions of foundation till now?
Yes,
3 or 4?
Yeah,
right?
and
4
sessions.
We've done NLP, 4 NLP foundation workshops, and we've had incredible results. Like, I know everybody who's left that session had those changes installed in them. So it was incredible that I was given this opportunity. So we've already, I think, surpassed about 90 plus, 100 plus people whom we've done foundation course for. So in such a short span of time. So I only met Abhilash, I think. All this happened in 2 months. Right? We've already done an NLP badge. So for me, this was a really, really big help. And I do want to thank Guruskoolz for allowing that platform for me, that I could, bring in my mission and then joining hands in my mission and going forward with me. So I do thank you and Pranay to be a big support. I haven't obviously met a plan, so but you guys have been very supportive. So thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you, Ankita. And obviously, collaboration of INH and Guruskoolz will definitely disseminate the knowledge to a lot of people in India, right? Especially because we're getting to Indian audience and globally as well. So it is great, Ankita, to having you on board. And I'm sure the message which you're spreading for NLP, timeline therapy, it's so beautiful, it's amazing. And obviously hypnosis and Reiki also you are doing. And I'm sure, and as a parenting coach also, you have a wonderful program, right?
We have 12 weeks parenting programs. Yeah.
So great. Wish you a lot of success and abundance. And I hope the purpose for which we have collaborated in Guruskoolz, so it serves the purpose for you and the audiences in India and abroad as well. So thank you very much for your time, Ankita. I really
Thank you so much.
thankful for giving your
Thank you.
valuable time. बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आपका.